The night started like any other, with laughter filling the room as we shared wine and whispered secrets, the kind only old friends dared to confess. But as the clock ticked and the room grew heavier with the weight of unspoken desires, I felt it shift, something electric humming between the three of us. I caught her looking at me, not with the usual sweetness, but with a gaze that held something darker, something wicked. And when I turned to him, I saw the same reflection there, an intensity that made my heart pound against my ribs. She reached for my hand, her fingers brushing over my skin, sending shivers racing down my spine, and her voice soft like velvet. Asked me if I trusted her, and of course I did. How could I not, after all these years? But then she leaned closer, her lips grazing the shell of my ear, and she whispered something that made my entire body freeze and burn at once. She said they had talked about it for months, dreaming about it, craving it, and now they wanted me to be part of it. I laughed at first, thinking it was a joke, but the way her hand slid up my arm, the way his eyes darkened, told me otherwise. I could not believe it, could not imagine it, but part of me ached to surrender to it, to see what it would feel like, to let go of everything I thought was right and fall into their waiting arms. The air thickened, the world outside that room faded until there was nothing but us, nothing but heat and daring and need. He stood and came to me, towering and strong, his hand lifting my chin until I looked up into his face, and he asked me with a voice low and rough if I wanted this too, if I wanted them both. And the way my body reacted told him everything before my lips could form the answer. I never thought I would give her fingers laced through mine, pulling me up, leading me to the bedroom, where the night promised to destroy every boundary I ever believed in. They undressed me slowly, reverently, their touches lighting fires over my skin, and I trembled between them. Their mouths found me, their hands explored me, and I surrendered, gasping and helpless against the tide they created together. Their passion broke over me again and again, until I forgot my own name, until the only thing I knew was the feeling of being worshipped by them both, the feeling of being utterly and completely theirs. The night stretched on a fevered blur of tangled limbs and breathless moans, of whispered promises and raw, desperate kisses my body claimed, by two sets of hands, two mouths, two hearts that beat against mine in perfect, devastating rhythm. And when I finally collapsed between them, my skin slick with sweat, my heart racing out of control, I knew there was no going back, no pretending this had not changed everything between us forever. Morning light slipped through the curtains, casting a soft golden glow over the room. But nothing about the way I felt was soft. Everything inside me still burned, still trembled, remembering every touch, every kiss, every heated whisper from the night. Before I lay between them, feeling their warmth, their steady breathing, their arms still wrapped protectively around me, as if afraid I might slip away, and part of me wondered if I ever could. She stirred first, her hand tracing lazy circles over my bare hip, and her lips brushed my shoulder, in a kiss so tender it made my chest ache. She murmured my name in a voice thick with sleep and need, and it was all the invitation I needed, to turn into her arms, to let her claim my mouth in a kiss that started slow and deep and grew hotter with every second, until I was gasping against her lips and pulling her closer. He woke with a low groan, his hand sliding along my thigh, his body pressing against my back, and suddenly I was surrounded once again by their hunger, their need, and my own answered without hesitation, my body arching into them, seeking more, craving more. We moved together, slowly at first, savoring every brush of skin, every sigh, every gasp, as hands explored familiar paths and forged new ones until the room was filled with the sound of our bodies meeting the soft, desperate sounds of pleasure. Building higher and higher, she whispered filthy sweet things against my ear. Things that made my face flush and my body tighten with want. Her hands bold and certain, as they found every place that made me shudder and moan, while he kissed the back of my neck, his teeth scraping gently until I was whimpering and begging, without shame, lost in the world they created around me, and through me a world where nothing existed but pleasure and connection and heat, so intense it felt like it could melt me from the inside out. They guided me with wicked patience, teasing me, bringing me to the edge again and again, until I was shaking, pleading, desperate, and when they finally let me fall over that edge, it was not alone. It was with them beside me, with their bodies pressed to mine, their voices low and rough, and full of everything we had dared not say before. And when the waves of pleasure finally ebbed, I lay there between them, dazed and trembling, feeling utterly consumed, utterly complete. Afterward, we stayed tangled together, our bodies slick with sweat, our hearts still racing, and though no words were spoken, we all knew something precious had been born between us, something fierce and fragile, something that could not be denied or undone. She stroked my hair while he traced patterns along my spine, and for the first time in my life, I felt seen, truly seen, and wanted in a way that shook me to my core. As the day crept on, and the world outside called to us, we stayed in that bed, in that secret place we had made together, savoring every stolen touch, every lingering kiss, knowing that when we finally rose and faced the day, nothing would ever be the same, but none of us cared, because we had found something too rare, too beautiful to ever let go. And I knew with every beat of my racing heart that their unthinkable proposal had become my greatest surrender and my sweetest salvation.